Hello everyone, it's good to be back with you for my monthly installment. Last weekend I spent time up in Wisconsin with some girlfriends, and it made me think about when I was a young girl away at summer camp. Back in those days, I was like a fish. I loved to be in the water. Frankly, I couldn't get enough of it. I still like to swim when we go out to the cottage on Lake Minnetonka, but I just don't get as many chances to get back into the water these days. Last week, I got back into the water in a couple of ways that didn't involve swimming though. I led an awesome workshop for a group of women where I talked about my personal journey with multiple sclerosis and how to be resilient and grateful. That was the first time in over a year that I've had an opportunity to present or speak to a group of individuals as I continue to pursue my career as a motivational speaker. I had an absolutely wonderful time. The organization is called Dress for Success, and they help women in need who are re-entering the workforce in so many ways. Not only do they help them with the clothing they need for their careers, they also help them with developing skill sets and providing mentoring along the way as they pursue their new careers. It was such an honor to be with these amazing women. Not only did they listen to some of my stories, but they also shared some of their own stories. The workshop was highly interactive, and I have to tell you, I couldn't help but walk away feeling like I've totally led a charmed life, even with my MS. I met women who have been incarcerated, have overcome drug addictions, and have been homeless. We talked about how to take confident action in life even when you are not totally sure where your next step might be. We talked about accepting the parts of our life story that have been the most challenging and not being attached to your victimhood. And finally, we looked at ways to incorporate mindfulness and gratitude practices into our daily lives to live more in the moment. Basically, it looked a lot like most of my video blogs. It was a fantastic experience all the way around. I felt pretty good the whole time. I did get a little nervous the day before, but I knew I was well prepared, and I remembered that I didn't need to be perfect. As long as I did my best, I'd be content with the outcome. Later that night, I went on my first date in quite a while. So it was a really big day in Emily's world. I was actually kind of excited because the guy I had a date with had to wait until a weekday because he was away on a personal development weekend the week before, and he couldn't go out on Friday or Saturday night. I thought to myself, I love personal development. It would be so great to date someone who is as interested in and open to working on themselves as much as I am in working on myself. Well, let's just say this other return to the water wasn't as comfortable as the workshop. I guess you could say the dating waters weren't as warm as the workshop waters. There was nothing wrong with the man that I went on the date with, but it was pretty clear that there wasn't a spark. At the end of the date, he told me he'd been dating a lot of women and he didn't feel like he had the space to add anything new to the mix. So we mutually agreed that this was a one-time connection. Overall, though, I had a nice night out. I got to have the anticipation and excitement for the week leading up. And I accepted that it didn't make any sense to try to look for something that wasn't there. Oh, and I was mindful that moving forward didn't serve me either. Even if it did for a moment make my ego parts feel a little tender, that just made me grateful. So when it was all said and done, I couldn't help but notice that I sort of automatically applied the perspective that I was teaching the women in the workshop to my own situation later that night. Who knew? I actually did listen to my own advice. So, are there any waters that you've been thinking about getting back into? Maybe you've got an old hobby you set aside for a while. Maybe there's a project you've been putting off. Maybe, like me, you're ready for a new love connection if it happens to come your way. whatever it is, I encourage you to get back into the water. You can't find out what's next in life if you're not willing to take a dive. Well, that's it for this month. We'll see you sometime around Labor Day as we start our transition to fall. Until then, ciao ciao for now.